Hi, I'm Robert Orm, and I'll be reading you today's edition of the Fall River Herald, dated Monday, October 27th, 2025. Candidates Talk Homelessness Police by Emily Sherney. Fall River Community Media's October 16th City Council forums heard from 12 candidates in the running for one of 9 seats in the November 4th election. 2 live-streamed forums were held, each 90 minutes long. The first panel's candidates, Sean Kadim, Michael Canuel, Brad Kilby, Linda Pereira, Cliff Pont, and Ricky Tiff, joined the second panel's candidates, Joseph Camara, Michelle Dion, Paul Hart, Louis Mellum, Christopher Peckham, and Andrew Raposo in sharing their visions for the city when it comes to homelessness, waterfront development, neighborhood revitalization, and affordable housing. A panel of local journalists, including Herald's News senior digital producer Dan Medeiros, asked candidates questions that emphasized public safety and how the city may best manage its chronically unhoused populations, giving rise to debate over police chief hiring protocols and the city's ongoing efforts to end homelessness. Though there are 14 candidates on the ballot, candidate Nathan Sylvia was invited but did not participate, and Jonathan Lima said he had a prior engagement. Hard said it's high time for a return to the civil service hiring process, with fellow panelists Camara and Peckham echoing the call to remove politics and nepotism, said Peckham, from police chief appointments. Candidates Kadim and Kilby pointed to dysfunction within the department. Canuel, Pereira, and Pont pointed to greater transparency associated with the interview and hiring process. But many shared that Fall River Police Chief Kelly Furtado was doing a very good job, with Mellum remarking on her 30 years of experience. Mellum and Raposo agreed an individual's qualifications and whether the city can afford the position and a localized search ought to rank among the considerations for selecting the next police chief of Fall River. Tith said he was not fond of civil service, but advocated for a police chief with a vested interest in the department and in the city. "I want the best person for the job, period," said Camara, "whether it's inside or outside." Dion dissented, saying she has long been a champion of a process, and like Kadim and Canuel, admired the nationwide job search process through which New Bedford recently filled its police chief position. "Homelessness isn't a Fall River problem," said Canuel, calling for an increased police presence that may curb public safety incidents, especially when related to issues of homelessness. "It's a national problem," he said. Kadim, Kelly, Pereira, and Raposo agreed that Fall River has done its best to offer relief resources like the FAST team, yet many of the city's unhoused suffer from mental illness and reject help. Kilby cited that there are limitations in imposing city ordinances with financial penalties for illegal encampments. "We've closed down a number of camps," said Pont, citing enhancement without encampment programming, adding that more should be done to continue to curb campsites. Camara, Dion, and Hart agreed the city has done a much better job than ever before, but that the issue has continued to grow and grow. Hart vouched for leading with empathy, but there comes a time when something must be done, criticizing enablers. The panel was nearly in unanimous agreement that safe injection sites just doesn't solve the problem of addiction, regardless of hygienic products and supervision. Peckham envisioned a plan that would rely more on Section 35 court orders that would entail broader civil commitment and involuntary treatment to those served orders. But Tith called for an action plan and spoke critically of camp closures that caused homeless individuals to scatter throughout the city, even to the point of trespassing on private property, echoing most of the panel's call for continued regulatory action, even at the state level, as Mellom suggested. Kadim said the city has failed desperate homeowners worried about homelessness-related crime. Now the enforcement needs to take place, saying public safety and health needs to be a priority for residents impacted by homelessness. Assisted living fire safety state survey results are in. In the wake of the deadly July 13th fire at Gabriel House Assisted Living Facility, a state-issued survey was distributed to all 272 assisted living residents in Massachusetts. A little over 3 months later, the results of those surveys have been returned, and they will be passed along to local fire departments throughout the state in time for it to impose new annual safety requirements for assisted living facilities. The Gabriel House fire claimed the lives of 10 residents and injured scores of others, raising questions about safety and preparedness at the centers that operate somewhere between entirely independent living and places like nursing homes, states an October 23rd State House News Service story. The results from the survey may indicate more safety-focused changes added to those immediately announced by Governor Maura Healey's administration in the aftermath of the fire. Calling the fire on Oliver Street in Fall River a terrible tragedy, Healey stated, "It's on all of us to do everything we can to enhance the safety of all residents and staff at assisted living residences across the state." Healey thanked assisted living residences for their responsiveness and promised to continue to work with them and local fire officials to improve emergency preparedness and give residents, families, and staff the peace of mind they deserve. The results will be distributed to all fire department jurisdictions that are tasked with enforcing the state's fire code. Additionally, the Executive Office of Aging and Independence will begin requiring assisted living residents to secure an annual sign-off from their municipal fire department, Healey's office said. On Thursday, the governor's office said the vast majority of residences reported strong preparedness measures, but responses from 36 residences, or 13%, revealed opportunities to further strengthen their approach to fire drills, mutual aid plans, or emergency coordination protocols. The state's Office of Aging and Independence will ask those facilities to submit a corrective action plan within 45 days. Meanwhile, the state will conduct a targeted review of their training logs, drill performance, and emergency preparedness protocols, the release stated. Most assisted living residences, 189 facilities, or 69%, self-identified at least one area where they were not aligned with best practices for fire or building safety. Things like installing a kitchen hood extinguisher, fire pumps, or fire-rated walls are recommended but not required in the facilities since they are not licensed healthcare centers, the release said. The governor's office said many assisted living residences operate out of older buildings and shared that the findings do not indicate that buildings are currently unsafe or out of compliance with building codes, but rather survey results point to areas where municipalities and operators can work together to enhance resident protection. Voter's Guide to Special Town Meeting by Emily Sherney. The town will make its voice heard at the October 27th special town meeting on several agenda items, from infrastructure updates, such as roadway safety, dam removal, and solar arrays, to new rules of development that could dynamically increase Swansea's housing stock. The biannual town meeting is a public forum that invites all registered Swansea voters to weigh in on the 21 issues up for deliberation on the agenda, many of them recommended for approval by the town's Advisory and Finance Committee. The meeting will be held in the auditorium of the Joseph Case High School, 70 School Street, starting at 7 p.m. Here's what to listen for at Swansea's special town meeting on Monday night. Article 1 will ask voters to approve $49,500 in federal grant match funding to cover the cost of a study that will bring town administrators closer to forming a decision about the Coal River Dam and whether it's time to knock it down. To date, Swansea has received consistent ratings from the state that the dam is not in good shape, said Town Administrator Mallory Ehrenstein. She indicated an uptick in state inspections that have pointed to dam removal. The state, she said, has long adopted a priority to return to nature-based solutions in stormwater management and is taking the stance that the dams should be removed. Calling it a liability and degraded infrastructure, Assistant Town Administrator and Community Development Director John Hansen Jr. said the dam has been a long-standing barrier that has prevented aquatic life from moving downstream and recreational boaters from moving upstream along the Coal River. Article 8 will ask voters to approve the raising, borrowing, or transfer of $110,000 in certified free cash. The money will be used by the town's Parks and Recreation Commission to update and construct ADA accessible bathrooms, an office, a meeting space, and improvements and updates to park pathways infrastructure, including the snack shack. Article 10 will ask voters to approve the raising, borrowing, or transfer of $900,000 in certified free cash to foot the bill for a new solar array to be purchased by Swansea's Chief of Police Mark Foley at the police station, 1700 Grand Army of the Republic Highway. Articles 15 and 17 address the safety of the town's roads and aim to revise current bylaws with sweeping additions that codify enforcement and penalties related to speeding cars, parking vehicles in unauthorized parking spaces, storing trailers roadside, and tampering with traffic signs and signals. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 90, Section 17C, Article 15, asks voters to authorize the Board of Selectmen to reduce traffic speeds to 25 miles per hour in thickly settled areas. New bylaw provisions explained in Article 15 would bar against any tampering with the placement or function of traffic signs or signals. With that, no homemade signs seeking to warn or regulate traffic or parking are permitted on curbside town-owned property, including the roadway itself. The new rules would not apply to signs or displays that indicate children, pets, vulnerable community members, or hearing-impaired persons reside in or frequent a particular area. Article 17 seeks to replace the standby warning that illegally parked cars or towing vehicles that will be marked and towed at the owner expense, with new rules that warn illegally parked vehicles will still be subject to towing and fines to reduce roadway accidents and keep roads clear for first responders. Article 19 describes a new zoning bylaw that, if it passes by a majority vote, would strike down old language in the town's general bylaws section 265 4.4 and could signal a vertical shift for Swansea with an increase in consolidated, context-sensitive subdivisions. Single-family dwellings, duplexes, and triplexes are developable options. Existing language in the town zoning bylaws make no mention of multifamily structures and maintain that 10 acres minimum, up from the 3 proposed, are necessary for subdivision construction. Developable land would be preserved, the proposed bylaw reads, with only a portion of it anchored by compact residential buildings that include reduced frontage and lot size. Land not included in the footprint of any building must be either controlled by the town or would fall under the purview of the Conservation Commission, a nonprofit organization, or a homeowners association. While environmentally sensitive areas would remain preserved and protected, housing could be designed to standards set forth by the town via an updated open space residential development design process. Firefighters Union aligns with Department's Gabriel House Fire Report. The Fall River Firefighters Union, IAFF Local 1314, have officially confirmed their support for the 27-page Gabriel House Fire After Action Report released October 10th, echoing the critical role that staffing levels play in the success and safety of both firefighters and residents. According to the report and NFPA 1710 standards, incidents involving high-risk occupancies, like assisted living facilities, require a minimum of 42 firefighters on scene within the first 10 minutes to perform rescue, fire attack, and medical operations safely and effectively, an IAFF Local 1314 statement issued October 24th reads. In response to the deadly July 13th fire that claimed the lives of 10 and presented firefighters, police officers, and EMS personnel with one of the most challenging and heartbreaking incidents in our city's history, coordinated rescue and suppression operations helped save 53 residents, many with mobility and cognitive limitations, from the burning facility. Through coordination with Mayor Paul Coogan and his administration, we have taken an important step forward by increasing daily staffing, the union statement reads. The Fall River Firefighters Union agreed with the report's conclusion that adequate staffing, accountability, and planning are essential to safeguard both residents and responders. The after-action report shouldn't gather dust on a shelf, IAFF Local 1314 Union President Michael O'Regan said. It is a roadmap for how to fix what is broken. Our firefighters and residents deserve nothing less. Staffing levels in the city will increase from 35 to 38 firefighters, ensuring that all 6 engine companies are now staffed with 4 firefighters each, meeting NFPA 1710's minimum recommendation for engine companies. NFPA 1710 also recommends that all apparatus, including ladder trucks and heavy rescue companies, be staffed with a minimum of 4 firefighters, though currently 3 of Fall River's ladder trucks and heavy rescue 1 apparatus respond with only 3 personnel each, leaving critical gaps in safety and efficiency on the fire ground, according to the statement. By NFPA 1710's minimum standards, the statement continues, Fall River should have 44 firefighters on duty each shift to provide adequate coverage for our community and ensure safe, effective emergency operations in line with dispatch policies that recognize the unique risks of high occupancy assisted living centers. 9 missing firefighters might sound minor on paper, O'Regan said, but those are the hands that throw ladders, stretch hose lines, and carry our residents to safety. We cannot continue to gamble with lives by ignoring these standards. A study in 2010 by the National Institute of Standards and Technology has shown that 4-person firefighter crews complete fireground tasks 25% faster than 3-person crews, resulting in faster rescues, quicker fire control, and better outcomes for the community. Additionally, IAFF Local 1314 fully supports the report's recommendation to assign permanent district chief aides on all shifts. These aides enhance command-level effectiveness by maintaining accountability, monitoring crew locations, managing radio traffic, coordinating mutual aid and EMS integration, and allowing chiefs to focus on overall incident strategy. Having permanent DC aides will make every scene safer and more organized, said IAFF Local 1314 Union Vice President Michael Baldy. This change is essential, and we're asking the city to make it a priority, he said. Several new equipment was recommended in the October 10th report. The acquisition of a mobile air cascade and support unit to refill SCBA cylinders and outfit recalled personnel with SCBA, radios, and flashlights. The expansion of the Fire Prevention Bureau, including bringing back the position of the Fire Prevention Lieutenant, which has been unfilled since 2014. Increasing pre-fire planning for high-risk occupancy residences. Encourage comprehensive building-specific evacuation and shelter-in-place training for staff in assisted living facilities. Demand stronger state and local code enforcement, including fire door compartmentalization and life safety inspections consistent with NFPA 101 Life Safety Code. The integration of EMS with the Incident Command System during mass casualty events to ensure unified command and medical coordination. This tragedy, the IAFF Local 1314 statement reads, serves as a somber reminder that staffing is not just a labor issue, it is a public safety issue. Every firefighter on duty, every position filled, and every second saved can mean the difference between life and death. The Fall River Firefighters Union is urging the city and municipalities around the state to fully staff fire departments with NFPA 1710's recommended 4-person crews and fund positions that had gone unfilled. The union pledged their support for the creation of a state-level SAFER-style grant program to help municipalities increase staffing safely and sustainably. It urged the enactment of legislative updates applying NFPA 101 life safety standards to assisted living, group home, and other vulnerable occupancies. Firing after FMLA ends is often legal. By Tamia Folks. Cliff Kaplan, 65, was in his 16th year working at a beverage distribution company in New Berlin, Wisconsin, when he was diagnosed with stage 4 esophageal cancer. While he went through chemotherapy, he took unpaid leave through the company's Family and Medical Leave Act policy, or FMLA. According to Kaplan, no one at his company discussed how long his leave would last or when he would be expected to return. 12 weeks later, in December 2024, Kaplan said, his manager called to inform him that his leave had ended 2 days ago and that Kaplan needed to return to work immediately. Kaplan, who worked as a brand manager, said the call shocked him. When he explained he wasn't physically able to return yet, his manager fired him, Kaplan said. Soon after, Kaplan received a brief termination letter that offered no chance to appeal. There was no discussion. There was no severance. There was no trying to find avenues to see if we could figure this out, Kaplan said. As an older person, Kaplan doubts he can find another job with the same wage and benefits, including his pension, which he said he was 2 years away from receiving. He is unsure how he will dig himself out of more than $225,000 in medical bills. Attorneys told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that Kaplan's story demonstrates the importance of developing a clear plan for returning to work while managing a disability. Although unfortunate, Kaplan's firing was likely legal, they said. No laws prevent an employer from terminating an employee once their FMLA expires, regardless of the severity of their disability. But had Kaplan gotten better advice ahead of time, the situation likely could have been avoided, they said. Matt Artz, the assistant general manager at Beechwood Sales and Service, where Kaplan worked, said the company provided reasonable accommodations for him. According to Kaplan's termination letter, the company offered him 3 weeks of additional medical and dental coverage while he remained an inactive employee before officially terminating him. Artz did not directly address Kaplan's claim that he was unaware of his return date, citing health privacy laws. Our company complied and continues to comply with all the applicable federal and state laws and regulations regarding FMLA issues, Americans with Disabilities Act accommodations, and any additional related matters, Artz said in an email. The Journal-Sentinel spoke to 2 Milwaukee employment attorneys, Nola Hitchcock Cross of Cross Law Firm and Alan Olson of Alan C. Olson and Associates, about Kaplan's firing. Both said Kaplan's situation is fairly common. FMLA is a federal law passed in 1993 that covers employees who have or are caring for someone with a serious health condition. Individuals using FMLA are entitled to 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave. Firing or laying off an employee who has recently ended their FMLA is not illegal. Employers have the freedom to terminate employees at any time and for any reason as long as it is not discriminatory. If an employee does not return to work once they exhaust their leave, their employer is not required to keep the job open. One exception is if a company is downsizing and chooses to only terminate employees who have all recently or currently taken FMLA. That could suggest discrimination and warrant an investigation, Hitchcock Cross said. If the employee's health condition is so serious that it qualifies as a disability, there is also some legal precedent that the employer has a duty to consider extending that leave for a short and specific period of time, Olson said. Usually, these negotiations must occur before the leave expires. Workers who can prove that their employer dropped communication with them or made no effort to provide reasonable accommodations before the FMLA period expired could have a legal case, Hitchcock Cross said. She said it is in the employer's best interest to be clear about how long the FMLA period is and repeatedly communicate the deadline to an employee to avoid confusion. According to the Department of Labor, employers must notify employees in writing about their rights and responsibilities during their leave and post signage about FMLA rules in the workplace. Kaplan said he had assumed his leave was open-ended based on how other staff with health issues had been treated. According to Kaplan, his manager acknowledged on his termination call that the company had inconsistent FMLA policies in the past, but that had changed. Beechwood did not address Kaplan's claims about other employees having more flexibility with their leaves. There are strict legal standards that limit employers from discussing employment and health matters about any of our employees, Art said. Many cases of unexpected firing, Hitchcock-Cross said, could be avoided if an employee gets a lawyer involved early to seek advice. Some attorneys are willing to offer a brief consultation or connect with employers to discuss alternatives for no charge. A lot of times we just pick up the phone or send what we call an intervention letter, Hitchcock-Cross said. A lot of times the employer is very happy and says thank you for steering us in the right direction. Hitchcock-Cross said employees could also consider requesting intermittent FMLA, which allows the 12-week leave period to be divided and spread out throughout the year to cover bouts of intense medical treatment. If an employee is fired shortly before they are set to receive their pension or any type of payment they were guaranteed, they should contact an attorney, Hitchcock-Cross said. That's especially true for older employees. In Wisconsin, it is illegal to terminate someone in order to avoid paying something that they are due, she said. Kaplan's circumstances seem unlikely to change. After 10 months of unemployment, he and his wife are living mostly off of savings and Social Security, trying to juggle medical payments and other expenses. If my story gets out there and companies maybe hesitate before doing something like this again, maybe then, in a way, it's a positive outcome, Kaplan said. President Pardons Crypto King Others, by Aaron Mansfield. President Donald Trump's decision to pardon Changpeng Zhao, the founder of the cryptocurrency exchange Beyonce, who was convicted of money laundering, is the most recent in a string of controversial pardon moves. Trump has pardoned or commuted the sentence of more than 1,600 people in his second term, after issuing clemency to 237 people during his first term. Beyonce had been a key supporter of the Trump family's lucrative World Liberty financial crypto venture, having accepted earlier this year a $2 billion investment made in a Trump family crypto coin called USD1. Some presidents have chosen to pardon people they believe were treated unjustly, but many have been criticized for issuing pardons to close friends or political allies. Former President Joe Biden issued blanket pardons to his son Hunter Biden and brother James Biden before leaving office. Here are a few other times Trump's clemency has stirred controversy. George Santos. Trump commuted the sentence of former Representative George Santos, a Republican from New York who pleaded guilty to federal wire fraud and identity theft, largely in relation to fundraising for his 2022 congressional campaign. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison and ordered to pay restitution of $370,000. Following his 2022 election, media began revealing a string of lies about his education, employment history, and a fictional career as a college volleyball star. Rod Blagojevich. The former Democratic governor of Illinois served 8 years in prison for soliciting campaign funds and other favors in exchange for former President Barack Obama's Senate seat. Obama left the seat in 2008 to become president, and it was Blagojevich's job to appoint his successor. Blagojevich was sentenced in 2012 to 14 years in prison. He was released in 2020 after Trump commuted his sentence. Trump issued him a full pardon in 2025. Joe Arpaio. In 2017, Trump pardoned the former Arizona sheriff who had become notorious for hardline enforcement of immigration law in the Phoenix area. a federal judge ordered Arpaio to stop racial profiling of Latinos, and a different federal judge found him in contempt when he did not stop this activity. He would have served up to 6 months in prison for criminal contempt, but the pardon came before he was sentenced. Paul Manafort. Trump pardoned Manafort, the chairman of his 2016 presidential campaign, in December 2020. Manafort was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison after he was found guilty of financial and tax fraud, as well as conspiracy and witness tampering in separate trials. The charges stemmed from special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Roger Stone. Trump pardoned Stone, his friend and political operative, shortly before Stone was set to report for a 3.5-year federal prison term for lying to Congress during Mueller's Russia investigation. Michael Flynn. Flynn, Trump's former national security advisor, was prosecuted in connection with the Russia probe. Flynn pleaded guilty in 2017 to lying to the FBI about his communication with a Russian diplomat. Trump pardoned Flynn in 2020. January 6th rioters. The day he began his second term, Trump pardoned nearly 1,600 people charged for their actions during or related to the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, an event that sought to stop Congress from certifying Biden's 2020 election victory. We've reached the halfway point of our program, and regular listeners are aware that at this stage of our broadcast, we move to the obituaries. However, there are no obituaries in today's edition. New OpenAI browser powered by ChatGPT by Greta Cross. OpenAI has launched its first internet browser powered by ChatGPT. But while it may make surfing the web easier, some are worried about privacy risks that everyday users may overlook. OpenAI announced the internet browser, ChatGPT Atlas, on October 21st. The free browser functions similarly to Google Chrome, Firefox, or Safari, but has ChatGPT built into it. This artificial intelligence core can remember more browser history, allowing users to retrieve past searches or information. Atlas also works with ChatGPT Agent, a feature OpenAI launched earlier this year that allows the AI to take over a user's computer and follow specific tasks. For example, a user can open a retailer's website and ask ChatGPT to add certain items to a cart, purchase them, and have the items delivered to their home. While the new capabilities can be exciting for seasoned AI users, Lena Cohen, staff technologist at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, said users should think twice before using Atlas as a full-time browser. Even though users might already be sharing sensitive data with OpenAI when they use ChatGPT, they likely have a better sense of the information they're handing over, Cohen said. When you type out a question to ChatGPT, you're in control of the information you're sharing with them. On the other hand, when you're using the Atlas browser for day-to-day tasks, it's easier to forget that all of your activity could be sent to OpenAI. In many ways, ChatGPT Atlas functions similarly to a traditional internet browser. Users can type a URL, a question, or a term into the main search bar for search results. But Atlas also offers new, unique features. ChatGPT Sidebar. Open a ChatGPT sidebar on any web page to summarize, analyze, or handle tasks. Writing aid. Highlight text in a form field, like an email message, to ask ChatGPT to write or edit text. Browser memories. When activated, ChatGPT remembers key details from your web browsing to improve chat responses and offer smarter suggestions, OpenAI said in a blog post. For example, if users want to revisit web pages they viewed days ago, they can ask ChatGPT to pull those exact pages back up. However, browser memories can be deactivated for specific websites. Homepage suggestions. ChatGPT remembers topics and sites a user has searched frequently and recently. The Atlas homepage suggests these upon launch. Parental controls. When activated, browser memories and agent mode are deactivated. OpenAI's paid subscribers to its Plus, Pro, and Business versions may also try ChatGPT Atlas's agent mode. When using agent mode, users give ChatGPT unique access to their browsers. ChatGPT can complete end-to-end tasks for you, like researching a meal plan, making a list of ingredients, and adding the groceries to a shopping cart ready for delivery, an OpenAI blog post says. Users are always in control of ChatGPT, even when it's in agent mode, according to OpenAI. When using agent mode, the AI cannot run code in the browser, download files, or install extensions. It also cannot access browsing history, saved autofills for passwords, and other sensitive information on a computer's apps or files. For launch, ChatGPT Atlas is only accessible on Mac systems running the Mac OS 1.2 Monterey operating system or later, according to OpenAI's blog post. Users must download Atlas from the OpenAI website at chatgpt.com/atlas/. To bring saved bookmarks, passwords, and browser history from another browser, users must import data from that browser to ChatGPT Atlas. OpenAI provides step-by-step instructions for this process on its blog. One of the main concerns technology experts have with ChatGPT Atlas is its promoted browser memories, which can save and remember information from visited websites. According to OpenAI, this feature must be activated by users and can be toggled off. OpenAI claims ChatGPT Atlas does not store personally identifiable information, such as medical and financial information, government IDs, social security numbers, online credentials, and addresses. But Cohen isn't so sure. Testing ChatGPT Atlas herself, Cohen took several quizzes on the Washington Post website, using, of course, fake personal and financial information. When she checked Atlas's browser memory after completing the quizzes, Atlas didn't regurgitate the sensitive information she provided, but did acknowledge how many of the quizzes she finished. It's not clear to me if OpenAI received my answers to the quiz, she said. But based on the fact they say they've completed most quiz questions, I know that Atlas is sending more than just the blank quiz. Cohen tried a similar test, scheduling a fake appointment on a Planned Parenthood website on ChatGPT Atlas. Upon checking the browser's memories, she was once again informed in depth about her actions on the website. Part of what users should be cautious about the Atlas browser's privacy memories are not backed up with many details or evidence, she said. We have to take OpenAI at their word that they're filtering out sensitive data. Really basic quick tests on medical and financial websites show that more information is being sent to OpenAI's servers than many users would probably be comfortable with. Ultimately, Cohen recommended users think critically before launching the browser and enabling certain features. I think that users should think twice before handing over their entire browsing activity to OpenAI, or any other company for that matter, Cohen said. DC protester sues after Imperial March response. By Chris Wernowski. A Washington, D.C. man filed a lawsuit against a member of the Ohio National Guard and several police officers after he was handcuffed and detained in the nation's capital after playing a well-known villain theme from the Star Wars movies. The American Civil Liberties Union filed the lawsuit on behalf of Sam O'Hara, 35, naming Sergeant Devin Beck of the Ohio National Guard and 4 Washington, D.C. police officers as defendants. The lawsuit stems from his September 11th detainment, which he says violated his First Amendment rights. The suit accuses Beck, a guardsman from Columbus, Ohio, and the officers of suppression of speech, retaliation, unreasonable seizure, excessive force, and false imprisonment. O'Hara is seeking unspecified compensatory and punitive damages and his legal fees. According to the lawsuit, O'Hara frequently protested the presence of 250 Ohio National Guard members who were ordered to Washington on August 16th by Ohio Governor Mike DeWine at the request of the Secretary of the Army. Mr. O'Hara was deeply concerned about the normalization of troops patrolling D.C. neighborhoods, and so he began protesting the Guard members' presence by walking several feet behind them when he saw them in the community. The lawsuit filed October 23rd in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia states. O'Hara used his phone and sometimes a small speaker to play the Imperial March, an imposing John Williams composition synonymous with the Star Wars character Darth Vader, while recording the encounters and posting them on TikTok. Ohio National Guard member Sergeant Devin Beck was not amused by this satire, the suit says. On September 11th, O'Hara saw Beck and several other uniformed Guard members patrolling the Logan Circle neighborhood. O'Hara played the march theme on his phone and started recording, the suit says. Hey man, if you're going to keep following us, we can contact Metro PD and they can come handle you if that's what you want to do. Is that what you want to do? Beck said, according to the lawsuit. When O'Hara continued recording and playing the music, Beck contacted MPD. 4 officers arrived and questioned whether O'Hara's actions constituted a protest, according to the lawsuit. They placed O'Hara in handcuffs for 15 to 20 minutes before releasing him without charges, the lawsuit says. The law might have tolerated government conduct of this sort a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the suit says. But in the here and now, the First Amendment bars government officials from shutting down peaceful protests, and the Fourth Amendment, along with the district's prohibition on false arrest, bars groundless seizures. In a statement issued by the ACLU, O'Hara decried the ongoing military presence in the nation's capital. It was important to me not to normalize this dystopian occupation, he said. ACLU senior staff attorney Michael Perloff also took umbrage with O'Hara's detention and issued a statement defending his client. The government doesn't get to decide if your protest is funny, and government officials can't punish you for making them the punchline, Perloff said. That's really the whole point of the First Amendment. Netflix hit heads to Dartmouth. Don't miss this golden opportunity. By Seth Chitwood. The Netflix smash hit animated film K-Pop Demon Hunters is heading to AMC Dartmouth Friday, October 31st to Sunday, November 2nd. Seeing movies in the theater is always more fun than watching TV, said Ian Vincent, who has been a team member at the Dartmouth Mall movie theater since March 2025. Even the biggest TV can't beat the huge silver screen, and as much as we love our pets, sharing an experience with an auditorium full of fellow movie fans is much more exciting. According to a recent USA Today article, K-pop Demon Hunters is a major hit, becoming the #1 most watched film ever on Netflix, with over 325 million views globally in its first 91 days. The film's soundtrack has also been highly successful, reaching #1 on the Billboard 200 chart. The premise of K-pop Demon Hunters is that a world-famous K-pop girl group, HUNTR/X, secretly doubles as demon hunters who use their music to protect the world from demons. When a rival demon boy band forms to steal their fans and weaken the magical barrier powered by the fans' adoration, the two groups engage in a battle fought through music and performance. Songs such as Golden, How It's Done, and Your Idol have become major hits worldwide, with no Oscar buzz around the Best Original Song, Best Original Score, and Best Animated Feature categories. Vincent, who said he hasn't seen K-pop Demon Hunters, said as much as he loves the movie theater, he knows that streaming has a lot of advantages, especially for introverts. A service releasing a movie on streaming and in theaters lets the viewer choose how they want to see it, he said. Many Netflix movies, especially those with awards potential, have received theatrical or festival releases, including titles like Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Irishman, and The Harder They Fall. According to America Magazine, everyone should experience K-pop Demon Hunters for its unique blend of K-pop, Korean folklore, and demon fighting action, vibrant animation, and catchy soundtrack. It is praised for its fun, engaging characters, and entertaining story that explores themes of self-acceptance, generational trauma, and overcoming shame through the unlikely heroes of the K-pop group. Dodgers left speechless by Yamamoto's masterpiece. Los Angeles Dodgers legend Clayton Kershaw leaned back against his locker Saturday trying to describe what he just witnessed. He has 3 Cy Young Awards and 2 World Series championships. He has won an MVP award, made 11 All-Star games, won 5 Cy Young titles, and a Gold Glove, too. But never, ever in his 18-year career did he ever see what teammate Yoshinobu Yamamoto accomplished Saturday night, going where no man has gone in 33 years. Yamamoto, after pitching a 4-hit complete game and retiring the last 20 batters he faced in the Dodgers' 5-1 victory over the Toronto Blue Jays to even the World Series at 1 game apiece, may have just changed the future of baseball. He just brought back a golden age of pitching. In one glorious night, Yamamoto became the first pitcher since Curt Schilling of the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2001 to throw consecutive complete games in the postseason, with Atlanta's Tom Glavine the last to do it, including a World Series game. He was the first pitcher to end a World Series game by retiring 20 consecutive batters since Don Larson's perfect game in 1956, and only the second in 99 years, dating back to Grover Cleveland Alexander in 1926. And he was the first Dodgers pitcher to strike out at least 8 batters without a walk in a World Series complete game since Sandy Koufax in 1963. There's not enough adjectives, Superlatives, anything you want to say, Dodgers first baseman Freddie Freeman said. To do it in back-to-back starts, in less than 110 pitches, it's amazing. So now he knows what the boys must have felt like a century ago when Alexander and Cy Young were pitching. Or maybe even back further. Maybe we got our own new old hoss Radborn, Freeman said. Well, it's safe to say we'll never see the Dodgers let Yamamoto throw at least 425 innings for 6 consecutive seasons like old Hoss, let alone 678 innings back in 1884, but you get the idea. Considering that no pitcher had thrown a complete game in the World Series since John Cueto in 2015, did Kershaw imagine that he'd ever see the feat? I don't think anybody could have predicted that, Kershaw said. But maybe it's a sign of where baseball should and will get back to. I think it's always fun to have great starting pitching matchups and to see them go deep into games. Maybe this gives some people some ideas for the future, hopefully. Considering the way Yoshinobu was pitching, retiring the last 20 batters he faced with complete ease, his pitch count of 105 pitches was as irrelevant as the number of sunflower seeds spit onto the Rogers center field. The way Yosh is throwing right now and the way we're built right now, Kershaw said, he could throw 150 pitches if he wants. I just think the way he throws the baseball is like perfect. No wasted movement. So efficient. He came here with a fastball, curveball, split, and now he's throwing sinkers, cutters, sliders. So he's got 6 pitches with command that he uses really well. Yes, there's a reason why he was the most coveted free agent pitcher 2 years ago, before signing a 12-year, $325 million contract with the Dodgers. They wouldn't have won the World Series without him a year ago. And they're not in a position for a repeat this year without him going 3-1 with a 1.57 ERA in the postseason. Since giving up 5 runs in the first 3 innings of his postseason debut a year ago, he is yielding a 1.62 ERA, striking out 40 batters over 44 1/3 innings, with the Dodgers going 6-1 in his starts. When Dodgers manager Dave Roberts couldn't stop with the praise. Outstanding, uber competitive, special, Roberts said. It was one of those things he said before the series. Losing is not an option, and he had that look tonight. The Blue Jays, who came out swinging at the first 6 pitches they saw, with George Springer opening with a double and Nathan Lukes following with a single, thought they were on him. Nope. They not only failed to hit the ball out of the infield the rest of the inning, but managed only 2 hits the rest of the game. The Blue Jays looked absolutely clueless. He was unbelievable, Springer said. He did what he does best. He showed why he is who he is. Just one of those situations where a very, very elite guy had a great game. Yamamoto was so dominant that after Alejandro Kirk's sacrifice fly in the 3rd inning, Yamamoto allowed only 3 balls to leave the infield the rest of the game. My pitching style is just keep attacking the zone, Yamamoto said. The Dodgers bullpen spent the entire game just soaking in the atmosphere, with Roki Sasaki only warming up in the 9th inning. I mean, he could have went another 30-40 pitches tonight, Roberts said. And even at 140 pitches, he still would be better than anyone else the Dodgers could have brought in from the bullpen. That's all I have time for. This is your reader, Robert Worm, saying thanks for listening.